some guy just made a very simple comment, and I disregarded it. But it was so simple, but now it's super profound. And he said something like, why do you need to take girls who have boyfriends when there's plenty of girls out there for you who are single? Hey guys, Hector Castillo Poppy from girlschase.com. Today I want to talk about why you should not sleep with girls who have boyfriends or husbands. Now this is interesting because some people are going to see the title and go, oh my god, you're a horrible person to even consider it. You should just be an unwritten rule that you should never sleep at. Okay, sure, bro. A lot of people act like they're angels and they just haven't had the opportunity to be devils. But then a different side will see this and say, well, you know, I don't really see the problem, because if she's willing to cheat on him, why not with me? Why don't I get some pussy? I mean, she obviously is not that into him, and there is some truth to that. If she's willing to cheat on her boyfriend or her husband, she's probably not that into him. You know, we could talk about open relationships and blah, 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 but that's a different subject. I'm talking about a monogamous relationship where it's not allowed for them to sleep with other people. If she's cheating on him, she's not that into him. There's something wrong with the relationship. And there's different causes, but she's just not that into him. And there's truth to that. And one could also say, well, I'm not the one cheating. I didn't make a promise. I'm just having sex. What's wrong with that? There is some truth to that as well. But the analogy that I used to give, because I knew it was bad, I just thought I thought the badness wasn't that bad. As bad as her cheating. Because she obviously is the one doing the more evil, right? She's the robber of the bank, and I'm the getaway driver. I'm still going to jail for driving the car and aiding and abetting, but I didn't rob the bank, right? I helped, but I didn't do it. And there is truth to that, because there is a such thing as moral degrees of morality. So I did it frequently, where I would sleep with girls who have boyfriends, and I took pleasure in it. And the reason I took pleasure in it was because I wanted to get back at other men, very generally. For the men who bullied me, the men who were assholes to me, the men who, you know, I'd be talking to a girl, they're talking to a girl, and they end up getting her, and they think they're so fucking cool. And I think, okay, you know, I'll meet her later and I'll fuck her while you're dating her, right? You want to dominate other men, you want to feel power over them. And I think every man who goes through his journey is going to feel in some way, some sort of desire to prove himself to the world, and prove himself to others, and very often that's going to mean dominating others. It's a very crude way to do it. But, you know, it's the way it is. So, I wanted to get back at men who, maybe not those men who fucked me over, but someone else, right? Take out my anger on someone else. It's wrong, it's unhealthy, but I did it. And that's the way it was. Also, there was my origin story, which was kind of a turning point. It was my origin story, but it was also a turning point in my morality. Basically, there was, if you've ever seen the show Gossip Girl, actually most of you haven't, so this analogy won't make sense, but it's perfect. I was Dan Humphrey, nerd, just read a lot of books, played a lot of video games. Dan Humphrey doesn't play video games, but that was what I did. And I was shy, and I wasn't that popular. And I fell in love with a Serena Vanderwoods, and popular, gorgeous, and blonde. Even though this girl kind of had more of a Blair Waldorf personality, I saw her in my mind as, you know, kind of a fusion between Serena Vanderwoods and Blair Waldorf. And basically rich, popular, hot girl, right? And from the rich part of town. There was like two towns next to each other. My high school was kind of the shittier one, and she went to like the nice one. And I met her through my youth group, and over the years she was very into me. But I was way too shy to do anything about it. She even asked me out, and I didn't do anything. And I thought she was like playing a trick on me or something, and trolling me because my insecurities were so high. Anyways, she ends up throwing herself at me basically, but tells me she has a boyfriend. And I keep talking to her and keep flirting with her and do everything but actually get intimate with her. And she even told me she had a sex dream about me. We were in a room alone together and I didn't kiss her. She just watched me play Final Fantasy XI. And the reason why I didn't do it was because I was goody two-shoes. And I said, if I'm gonna be with you, you can't be in a relationship with someone else. It's wrong. And also, I want you to be with me. I want you to be mine. And that was right. there was goodness in that philosophy. But I got pretty upset when I ended up losing her, because I had 2 opportunities where she's in my room alone with me and told me multiple times that she really likes me. All I had to do was kiss her. Could have slept with her, definitely. But I didn't. And then I ended up telling her, look, if you're not gonna break up with him and be with me, then I don't wanna be with you. And she got upset, I got upset. But then 2 weeks later, I regretted my decision. And I went, wow, what the fuck? I was like, she obviously is not into that guy. She wants to be with me. Why didn't I just take her? I'm such a pussy. And I chased after her. Didn't work out, obviously, because you all know when a girl's really into you, but then you fuck it up and you push her away, but then you go running back. It usually makes it worse. Never ended up hooking up with her. Met her on multiple occasions over the years, but never even so much as kissed her. Shit happens. But it was my origin story because, and I've told this story many times in articles and videos, because it made me realize that, look, if I want to get things in life, if I want to get sex, if I want to get relationships, I have to go and take it and get it. If the opportunity is there, I need to go and take it. And so, as a kind of counter to my softer side at that time, I developed a much more aggressive and greedy Hector. And so I actually developed a desire and almost a fetish for fucking girls who have boyfriends as a way to kind of get back for that loss that I had. And I spent many years trying to correct that wrong, even though it was the right decision. But in my mind, it was wrong. And so I ended up sleeping with girls who had boyfriends, and I would even take pleasure in it, extra pleasure. If a girl had a boyfriend, I would see it as an even greater conquest. Of course, a hard barrier that I had was if the guy was a friend, right? If I knew the guy, but if I knew of the guy, because I went to a small college, so you pretty much know everyone, I didn't give a shit. But if he was my friend, no. Hard no, okay? But if I didn't know him, I didn't give a shit. So I did that for a long time. And it was enjoyable, but every time that I got in those situations, no surprise, the girl was kind of a piece of shit. She was usually a horrible person. And there was karma. Obviously, I got cheated on. And when you do evil, you surround yourself with evil. Evil attracts evil. You're going to bring those negative vibes. And I also got a really horrible reputation. My reputation was, fuckboy, player, guys who fucks and chucks girls. But also, there was a lot of resentment in my university from guys who had girlfriends, and sometimes they would act weird around me. Even though if he was my friend, I would never do it, but you can't blame him for having that fear. So yeah, I didn't create the best reputation, and it's something that I actually wrote about in my college book, writing about all these experiences, because that's where I kind of got my start after my origin story was in university. I wrote in my college book that, for obvious reasons, it's horrible for your reputation and you just shouldn't do it. Because I learned the lesson that people really don't like it when you do that. For obvious reasons, it really disrupts the society. Of course, very few people give any blame to the woman. I mean, that's just how it fucking goes these days. And, the guy's the piece of shit for going after a girl who has a boyfriend, but her cheating is whatever. She made a mistake, but he's a piece of shit. He's evil, right? So that went on for a long time, and then last year, actually, I picked up a girl from the bar, and she told me she had a boyfriend. I didn't give a shit. She was all over me. She was telling me how I'm making her horny. I started rubbing her pussy, making out with her. I was like, all right, obviously you don't give a shit about your boyfriend. And then I go on to find out she cheated on him multiple times. I ended up taking her home and fucking her, and I took great pleasure in it. Her boyfriend was calling her, and obviously very suspicious. People could feel it in their gut. And you kind of see a dark side of women too, when you see them do this. Like, she just talks to her boyfriend like nothing is happening, and then hangs up the phone and start sucking my dick. And, you know, I knew it was fucked up, but I did it and I enjoyed it. But that was me enjoying evil. Because as time went on, she was obviously a fucking basket case. I started to feel something strange. And all of that guilt over those years started to pile up. And then earlier this year, I was kind of spending some time alone and reflecting on the people around me. And I had some negative influences around me that showed their true face really during this period. And I reflected on things they had done. I'm like, wow, why do I have these shitty people in my life? And I realized that I was shitty and I brought those people around me. So this is part of my argument, is that when you do this stuff, it is evil, and I'll talk about why. But it's gonna bring really negative influences around you. So any of the pussy that you get from it, and the fun, and maybe the evil pleasure of taking some other man's girl, you know, it's talked about in fucking every rap song is about fucking your bitch, right? We make fun of everyone. We call them, you know, it's a big thing to call people cucks, right? Losers and nerds, and you take their girls. Like it's been around for forever, right? The way to dominate a guy is either beat him up or fuck his girl, right? So this isn't something new. But any of the pleasure that you get from it, it's gonna come back to you. It doesn't guarantee you're gonna get cheated on, but it's going to probably bring you around the types of girls who are more likely to cheat on you. And you're gonna see darker sides of people, and it's gonna make you bitter about women. It's gonna make it really hard to trust women because you've seen what they can do. Just like if you see people just do bad things, it's gonna sour your view on people in general, and it's gonna be hard to trust people because you've seen so much evil, right? But going back to kind of my lesson, so I started to review the negative influences in my life. And I decided that I was guilty of some evil and bringing those people, that energy around me. And the main two things that I was doing wrong was drinking way too much and doing drugs. And that was definitely bringing weird energy around me, because the people who are hardcore into that, they're not usually the best people. Maybe on occasion, but usually not. And I was fucking girls who had boyfriends. It wasn't something that I was too against, because, you know, I justified it to myself. She's gonna cheat on him anyways. I'm just a getaway driver. I'm not doing anything that bad. But I knew there was a little bit of evil there, but then I realized there was a lot. And this really came to a head with this experience and another experience where I fucked a girl who had a husband. Now, she was in an open marriage, and she like told her husband she's coming to fuck me, but there was even something disgusting in that. And I found out what she was doing to him. Like, she ended up sleeping with his best friend and then tried to like set up a threesome with them. And she told me about these experiences, and the way that she explained, like, of course she puts it in like just a normal way, like, yeah, I'm just hooking up, I'm exploring my sexuality. But the way that I saw her treating her husband was just fucking horrible. Like, this woman was just a piece of shit. And even though, at least she was being honest, but she was like doing it in his face. Like hooking up with his best friend, and I was just like, what the fuck? And obviously this guy was not comfortable with it, but he kept consenting to it and being okay with it. But I knew that he wasn't comfortable with it from the testimony she gave me. But then also, I mean, the sex is great. She's cute and sex is great, but she was an absolute piece of shit. And then lastly, those of you who have seen me talk about Buddhism a lot, and the 5 precepts of Buddhism is don't kill, there's 10 and then 227 rules for monks, but if you're a lay follower, a normal follower, you have to not kill, not lie, not steal, not commit sexual misconduct, and don't take intoxicant substances. So any intoxicants. The sexual misconduct is interesting because sexual misconduct is defined within the Buddhist time as sleeping with a girl who's married, engaged, or protected by father and mother, which is, you know, a girl who's probably, you know, being ready to go into arranged marriage. I mean, they didn't just have arranged marriages in ancient India. There were still people fucking, right? It's not the entire ancient history was arranged marriages. Like, there's people who were lovers, and there was players, and there's always been these kind of guys. So I realized that I wasn't upholding the precepts that I was aspiring to. I was meditating a lot. I knew all the philosophy in and out of Buddhism. I obviously wasn't killing, very much against stealing, very much against lying. But I was dealing with alcoholism and a little bit of drug addiction. And I wasn't being moral all the time when it came to sleeping with girls, because I would sleep with girls who had boyfriends. That's the main thing. When I reflected on this, quarantine then happened, and then I spent a lot of time alone in my room. And I reflected on all the evil that I had around me. One friend in particular was a really big piece of shit, but I don't know, I kept him around for different reasons. I think I saw him as a little brother. But I saw these people in my life, I saw what I had done in the past, and I went, holy fucking shit, you know? In a lot of ways, I've been a great person. I mean, it's always shitty for someone to assume I was a good person, but I thought I was. I was a very generous person. I cared about people. I went out of my way to help tons of people. I was an asshole a lot of times, but I was an honest asshole. I was always super honest with people. But I did some shitty things, and I treated people not so well. And it kind of hit me all at once. Like a lot of this guilt that I had been pushing away for so long. Now, this is a video to teach you something. It isn't fucking me pouring my heart out. It's me just showing you my journey of understanding why this is wrong, so you can fully understand it. And I ended up fucking crying my eyes out, because I realized this is the one that hit me. I'd always seen the sex competition as like, look, if you're better, you're gonna get it, right? So if I got cheated on, that guy he got my girl, right? Or if I liked a girl and some other guy ended up hooking up with her, right? He got her. He was the better man. And in the same way, if I got a girl, either just normally or if she had a boyfriend, well, you know, you just weren't fucking her right. And there's some truth to that. I mean, it's not completely only a moral issue. It is a moral issue, but that's not the complete picture. It also is who's sexier, who's more interesting, etc., who's fucking her better. But it is a moral issue. And I saw the pain that I'd probably, because I said, okay, I'm gonna really think about this. Like, the pain that I felt from getting cheated on in the past, or maybe not cheated on, but embarrassed in situations, a girlfriend flirting with a guy. I was like, okay, that shit really fucked me up. I need to think, I'm gonna put myself really in his shoes. Like, obviously I had empathy for him, but I'm really just gonna sit here and imagine the pain that I might have caused this guy. And I fucking cried my eyes out, because I saw some guy in my head like crying, and it was like I was him. Like, it was almost like I was hurting myself. It's kind of one of those philosophies where, you know, everyone is one, but not quite that. But that was the feeling. I was like, wow, I was hurting myself, but then also I was hurting another being who has the same kind of feelings and heart and mind that I do. And I was a piece of shit for doing that. And all the times they hurt me, guys hurt me through, you know, tons of different situations. And I went all the way back in my history to this origin point where I kind of started my revenge against the world for, you know, having been a loser nerd, and I wanted to prove myself and fuck all these girls and be awesome Hector. And that involved fucking girls that had boyfriends. I looked back at my past and I was like, it's okay. I forgive the others for having hurt me, and I forgive myself for giving into the evil to fight that evil, right? So in fighting monsters, I became a monster. So after this, it was a few days of just intense guilt and crying and screaming. I said, okay, I'm going to stop going with girls who have boyfriends. And I've been good about it. And if a girl has a boyfriend, like, you know, if I approach a girl on the street, I just immediately go, okay, cool. Because sometimes guys are like, oh, well, you could use 2 boyfriends, or, you know, trying to say something. It rarely works, right? A girl who's going to cheat on her boyfriend usually does it with a guy she really knows well, or she's like right on the edge of about to cheat with her boyfriend. Or she meets a guy and kind of talks to him like little by little over time, and then there was kind of something happens in the relationship, and then he's the guy she goes to, right? So usually those like go boyfriend destroyer lines, the really nerd way of saying it, they don't really work that much, right? She just has to really, really like you and be in a shitty situation with her boyfriend. But if I would be walking on the street and I see a girl with a boyfriend and she's smoking hot, I would actually stop myself from like looking at her and enjoying just her look. Because then I was kind of thinking of like the Jesus, like, you sin in your mind, right? You adulter in your mind by lusting after thy neighbor's wife. Don't covet thy neighbor's wife. And when I started to really like become extremely disciplined about this morality, I, interestingly enough, saw an increase in my happiness. I became much less combative with other men in like a subtle sense of like, if I'm walking on the street, I need to look cooler than other men, or, you know, if a guy has a girlfriend or around, like, you know, guys, when they have girlfriends, they just watch them. They when there's other guys around, they watch their body language. They act in certain ways. You know, it's kind of protective. It's kind of like posturing. I mean, none of us want to pretend like, oh, I don't care what other people think. Okay, dude, a lot of it is very nonverbal and a lot of it is subconscious. You just naturally do it. But when my consciousness and my mind decided like it's a no-no, it's a 100% no-no for me, I felt a lot of that combativeness just go down, and a lot of that, because people can pick up on kind of your intentions and your feelings. So I felt like people's suspiciousness of me went away, because I was no longer like, I'm Hector, I'm gonna fuck your girl. Like, it was, I had a total I have no desire to take anything that you have, because why would I want to do that? And the final answer to this was something interesting. I read a comment on a Girls Chase article a long time ago. I think it was on my article, and it was about, I was talking about cheating, and some guy just made a very simple comment, and I disregarded it, but it was so simple, but now it's super profound. And he said something like, why do you need to take girls who have boyfriends when there's plenty of girls out there for you who are single? And my response was, yeah, well, I want them all, right? I'm Ash Ketchum. I want to fucking catch all of them. But he was right. There is like a practical infinity of single women out there. You know, it really sucks when you go out. I've had some clients tell me this, like, I go out and meet girls, and literally every single beautiful girl that I just fall in love with instantly has a boyfriend. And I can tell that they really like me. They're smiling, they're saying thank you, and they tell me, you know, like, oh, if I was single, blah, but like, they all have boyfriends, and it can be very frustrating. But there are a practical infinity of women out there who don't have boyfriends. And that was, I really distinctly remember that comment. And God, he wrote that comment in the article like fucking 4 or 5 years ago, but I still remember it. And I think about it all the time. And I go, yeah, you know, why would I need to engage in any sort of type of malicious behavior and evil or taking something away from another man when I can just find something that doesn't have that fucking extra baggage? So the reason why you shouldn't sleep with a girl who has a boyfriend is because it is inherently evil to want something that someone else has and want to take it away from them. You can see if someone else has a girlfriend and say, I want a girlfriend. But it's a very different thing to say, I want to take your girlfriend, right? Because that's greed and it's malice. It corrupts your heart, and when it corrupts your heart, it's going to corrupt the energy that you bring around you. You're gonna draw negative energies around you, just like if you do any other evil in the world. If you're a toxic piece of shit, if you steal, if you lie, whatever, you're gonna draw stealers and liars and cheaters around you. You're gonna draw that energy that you're putting out, and that's bad. You don't want those people around you. It's gonna create a very bad reputation for you. People fucking hate it, right? Because when they see you're that type of person, they're gonna feel threatened naturally by you. Not threatened and like, oh, he's threatened by me. Like, they're just gonna feel like you are a bad person. You are a predator, and I don't want you around me. And people fucking hate people who do this, right? So it's gonna create a bad reputation. To some extent, I don't think you should care that much about reputation, but at the same time, it does have a lot of practicality to it. And we're always involved with other people, unless you're a monk in the middle of the woods. So you do need to care for your reputation to a certain extent. And lastly, there is an infinitude of women out there who are single. So you don't need to go after girls who have boyfriends. So that all being said, it is true that if a woman's gonna cheat, she's gonna cheat. If she's not interested in her boyfriend, she's gonna find someone else. But don't be the one, just for some pussy, who engages in evil behavior. And she should be a better person to just break up with her boyfriend and then go be the slut. She get, you know, if you're interested in a girl and she has a boyfriend, you can just tell her. Because I had a client who was in a similar situation. Now, he told me kind of after he'd already done some stuff where he made out with her. I was like, well, you know, probably shouldn't have done that. But hey, what I think you should do is you should tell her, look, you know, I like you and I dig you, but I'm not really gonna fuck you when you have a boyfriend. And she was already not feeling him, obviously, as he finds out later, because duh. But he tells her, look, I'd rather you be single. And about a month and a half later, she actually ends up breaking up with him because the relation, not for him, because she didn't immediately say, hey, I broke up with my boyfriend. They just happened to start talking again. And then she was like, hey, by the way, I'm single. Okay. Then they hung out and they had sex, and now they're kind of dating. Now, I would be careful with a girl who had made out with someone That's another thing. Completely forgot about that. If you do fuck her, okay. It's wrong, but okay. But if you fucking wife her up, man, and make her a girlfriend, you know, it's not 100% if she did it to someone else, she's going to do it to you. Because I know someone whose parents had a similar situation. The mother was like dating some guy, but then this guy's father came along and was like, look, I want you. And she went with him and they had a happy family and raised a good kid. So it's not 100%, but it's usually, if you're going to get a girl who left someone else for you or cheated on someone else with you, they're probably going to do it to you. And I don't think it's a risk worth taking because the chances are very, very low you're not going to be the rule. So don't get with girls who have boyfriends in any serious capacity whatsoever. Don't date them, don't cuff them, don't wife them. Very bad. But coming back to the example, he ended up basically saying, look, you got to break up with your boyfriend and then I'll hook up with you. And it was a much more moral situation. There was no guilt. There was no feelings of I'm an evil person or she's an evil person. You're going to feel better about yourself and about her if you wait till she's single. And while it's unfair that the society is going to blame the guy, right? Because the guy's the aggressive one and making things happen. And, oh, it's a poor girl who made a bad decision and she cheated on her boyfriend. Look, she's even more culpable than you are. But people aren't going to see it that way. And this is going back to the reputation thing. People care. People have double standards about everything. And so as much as we'd like for things to be completely just and for people to dole out shame and accusations equally in a way that, and tailored to everyone's particular wrong, that's not the way it's going to happen. People aren't going to blame her as much as they're going to blame you. You're going to be the one who's blamed more. So just don't do it for all the reasons just explained. There's plenty of girls out there who are single and you can fuck them without any shame or guilt. And you're just going to have a better, more moral and wholesome energy and life around you. So that's why you should not sleep with girls who have boyfriends. Long video, a lot of explanations, but it brings some realness. I'm not just here soapboxing to you. Don't sleep with a girl who has a boyfriend because it makes you an evil person. I told you a journey of experiences and reflections that led me to this position. And I feel that's a lot more raw and a lot more real and a lot more credible and authoritative. So cool. Hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something from it. I hope you uphold this. It's gonna be better for your life. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell, follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you soon. Ciao.